Hello everybody, it's Lisa here. So today's video is actually the first one of this year. So I'm gonna wish you a happy new year and I really hope you had a nice holidays and everything. But let's get this year started with another helpful video for your recovery. And today's video I'm gonna talk about the intuitive eating and I'm gonna give you 6 tips on intuitive eating. And I will try to explain you kind of what is the mindset of somebody who is an intuitive eater, for example me, and how I view food, how I approach food and eating. But at the same time, I don't have to consciously think about it. I don't have to analyze my eating, like every day. It happens very naturally and automatically. But at the same time, when you are still recovering, when you are still on your journey towards intuitive eating, then these tips will definitely help you. So maybe for the start, I will first explain what is the intuitive eating, and I will try to do it from my own perspective, from my own experience. And there is also this famous book about intuitive eating, so if you want to know more you can read that book. And also in my book the last chapter is entirely about intuitive eating, so you can check out my book as well. But what is the intuitive eating in my own explanation, in my own experience? So intuitive eating is based on listening to your body as a whole. Intuitive eating, yes, you listen to your hunger, your fullness, you make sure you eat until full and satisfied, but also you take into account your emotions, your feelings, and also you use some common sense and nutritional knowledge about food as well. So as you can see, you don't only listen to your, for example, your taste buds, but you also take account your feelings, your emotions, and also use some nutritional knowledge, and make sure you are feeding your body the nutrition it needs as well, but also doing it without the diet mentality. Yeah, and intuitive eating is definitely free from guilt. It's free from rules and restrictions, and intuitive eating is very individual, and it's definitely free from diet mentality, diet mindset. And also intuitive eating is not perfect, and there's no such thing as perfect eating, and intuitive eating can be different each day. It's not perfect, it is flexible, and this is what I like about intuitive eating, because it's so sustainable. And as I said before, it happens so naturally. I don't have to think about it on a day-to-day basis. Let's get on with the tips. And by the way, if I look down from time to time, it's because I have something wrote down, so I won't forget all the tips I want to share with you. So the first tip is definitely to get rid of the good and bad foods mindset. And intuitive eating is free from shame and guilt around food, and it doesn't see food being as either good or bad. Intuitive eating doesn't use judgment about food to make the food choices, but rather intuitive eating, you do it by following your body's cues and trusting your body's signals. And all food is equal, all food is neutral, all food is fully allowed. You can give yourself the unconditional permission to eat. And also food doesn't reflect your morality, it doesn't reflect your personality, and it's free from judgment. So the second tip is to eat in the moment. And what I mean about that very normal part of the diet mindset is that people either think about what they ate yesterday, so what they are allowed to eat today, or maybe today they decide to eat the second piece of chocolate cake, and then they feel that tomorrow they have to do something to compensate for it. So they never eat in the moment, but actually they think about either the past or future. And this is all about the diet type of planning and trying to compensate and trying to restrict or trying to have all rules around food. But you have to really forget all about that and really try to eat in the moment, and just ask yourself, what do I feel like eating right now? And then eat this food, no matter what you ate your last meal, what you ate yesterday, what you're gonna eat the next meal, what you're gonna eat tomorrow, and really focus on eating right now without any guilt or judgment or overthinking. And the third tip is to eat what you really want, and this is kind of the giving yourself the unconditional permission to eat. And eating what you want is really part of honoring your body's signals, because all of our cravings are there for a reason. And for example, if you come from like diet past or from eating disorders, it's very normal that the food you crave the most or the food you want to eat the most is normally the food you have restricted the most. And many people who come from dieting, if I tell them to eat whatever you want, they will freak out because they feel that if they finally let go of all rules and restrictions, then they only want to eat their fear foods, you know, like the food they have labeled bad or unhealthy or whatever, and this will freak them out. But actually, like, your body wants to eat those foods because you have restricted them, not because your body is somehow addicted or your body is stupid and it doesn't know what it's doing. But if you feel you have like overwhelming craving for some particular food or to eat it in large amounts, it's because of the restriction past you come from, not because your body is not working properly or something. But based on my own experience, this period will pass. And for example, even I had those things when I craved some foods in big amounts. But right now my eating is balanced and normal, and I don't have any desire to overeat, binge eat, or have excessive cravings. So the fourth one is to really enjoy your food. And also, maybe if you come from the diet past, then whenever you have allowed yourself to eat something, maybe you still have done it with some guilt and shame, and therefore maybe you just felt like you had to eat it so fast and in big amounts, and maybe you totally forget about, you know, like fully enjoying your food, because you can't fully enjoy the food when you eat with guilt and shame and with the diet mentality. So let go of the diet mentality and then actually start to allow yourself also to enjoy the food and feel good about the eating. And all intuitive eaters, when you learn about intuitive eating or you just practice it, or you go back to intuitive eating after years of dieting or eating disorders, then everybody goes through a period of trial and error and learning what works specifically for their body. And if you just yesterday stopped dieting, then it's not possible to be like fully intuitive eater tomorrow without having to practice it, without going through a process of trial and error, you know, learning what works for you. And this is like totally normal phase. It will take some time. Try to listen to your body and don't see any like mistakes as like failures or something, but just see all of this process as a learning experience, how to be an intuitive eater. And just know that you can't make any mistakes. And again, as I said, it's all about learning what works for you and taking as a big like learning opportunity to become an intuitive eater. And the last tip is to let go of the perfectionism. And I think to become an intuitive eater, this is very important tip to practice, because there is no such thing as perfect eating. Perfectionism in eating is part of the diet mindset and definitely doesn't go with the intuitive eating. Like, what I love about intuitive eating the most is actually that it's so flexible. I don't have to feel either good or bad. I don't feel like I can fail with my eating. I don't ever feel like I'm doing something wrong. Because intuitive eating is not perfect. For example, even normal eaters sometimes overeat, but it doesn't mean that they now have an eating disorder or something. And also, even normal eaters sometimes undereat because they have a busy workday or something. And this doesn't mean that they are now back to dieting and restricting. And also, normal eaters, they can't eat something that's that they fully want right now, and maybe they just have to choose something because they need to be flexible, something that's available for them. It doesn't mean that it's the perfect choice, but they just choose to eat it because it gives them, you know, like energy to go on with their day. So they don't worry about the perfect fullness, perfect hunger, perfect satisfaction, you know, like all of these things with food. But it's very flexible, and this is why it's so realistic and so sustainable. So I really hope you like this video, and if you want to know more about intuitive eating, you can buy my book, and the last chapter of my book is entirely about intuitive eating. So yeah, and thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you next week.